Hi, it's Christina Myers, host of The Stina Life. On this episode, we are going to discuss the recent solar flare activity and how these are more than just cosmic phenomenon, but an invitation to upgrade our light bodies and our perspective and tolerance for our current reality. We'll also dig into what it means to move into the Aquarian Age and the changes we can expect at a collective level. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast this week. I hope you all are doing so well and taking such good care of yourselves as we are moving through, again, more energetic shifts and changes. I feel like a broken record. I really do, because it seems like every week I come on here and I'm like, hey, guess what? We're going through major energetic shifts. But the reality is we are going through major energetic shifts, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon. We are on a massive change, and 2025 looks just as accelerated as now. So all I can say is buckle your seatbelts, sit back and enjoy the ride. It's going to get a little bumpy at times from the turbulence, but we will land safely at some point of time. I think the big reason we are going through so much right now is because if you haven't been paying attention, there has been so much activity happening on our sun lately. And this past week, especially, we have had so many solar flares and so many CMEs hitting Earth. And it's really been completely unprecedented. Even the NOAA came out last week and said, hey, we're having some very unusual stuff happening on the sun, and we are going to have all kinds of different things going on, and we don't know how this is going to come out. And so, yeah. It's, a big event when it's making national news and they're talking about solar storms. So we definitely have had it. And I don't know how you all are feeling. So let me know in the comments how you are feeling. How are you navigating through this time? For me and some of the folks that I talk to on a regular basis, the big theme is complete exhaustion. I mean, so tired, more tired than we have ever been. It feels as though I equate it to Sleeping Beauty. So I always say there's little pixie dust or fairy dust that gets put on me when I'm sleeping, and I go into such a deep trance. And in the mornings, it's very, very difficult to get out of bed. It's very difficult to function. Headaches have been very prominent. Feeling out of sorts has been at the forefront, and dreams have been incredibly weird. So I don't know how you guys are feeling, but please let me know. Part of this whole thing with the sun is that we are getting so many different types of flares. So there's 3 different levels of solar flares. C class is the lowest level, and that's usually the norm of what we get. And then we have M class flares, which are medium strength, and they're a little less frequent. And then we have X class, which is very, very rare. But we have had a mostly just M and X class, and an enormous amount of X class flares coming off the sun. And those have been producing filaments that have come off the sun and headed towards Earth. So that's what these CMEs are, and that's what hits our environment. And so the auroras, the aurora borealis, that has traveled as far south as Florida, and even I've seen these popping up in Australia as well. This is not a good sign when it travels that far south at all, because the impacts on radio communications, on our satellite systems, on our grid systems could actually be cause a lot of interruption. And so that's just the the reality of what happens when we have this much solar activity. We are also in a big solar cycle right now, which scientists were only predicting that to really peak in 2025. It's actually moved up to 2024. And obviously, all of this is interconnected. Our solar system is a network. We are a network. The trees, the mushrooms are a network. We all are interconnected in this way. And so these cycles that we're going through is not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence why we're going through this right now. If you line that up against the astrology and what's happening there, this is all major, massive shifts of consciousness. And what I have been starting to feel, and when I went into meditation the other day to tap into this a little bit more, what they're showing me is that on the physical level, on our bodies and our systems, it's like a motherboard upgrade. It's like we're getting a whole new motherboard installed. And that is so we can hold more data, that we can hold more consciousness, that we can hold more frequency within our systems. And, we're getting a software upgrade basically for our own systems. And you also think about the analogy of what the sun does. The sun brings light to us, right? It helps us illuminate things. It brings light to the planet. It creates warmth. It creates growth. It creates abundance when it comes through. And this increase of light that is hitting our planet right now is also going into the different areas where light does not normally reach. And it is bringing out a lot of what I would call more exposure to the shadows. It's bringing up more awareness to a lot of us. And this awareness is bringing a new perspective to a lot of people. And things that have been kind of fuzzy, not super clear, things that we have just tolerated are really becoming less so. And we're starting to really see, like fully see, where we have these imbalances and where we're out of sorts a bit. And this is all, as I said, it's all intertwined to each other, because if we look at where we're at astrologically, we have moved into this whole new era, this whole new 20-year cycle, where we are moving into the Aquarian Age. And it's more than a 20-year cycle. This 20-year cycle with Aquarius, with Pluto in Aquarius, unearthing all this stuff. But you can tell that we are shifting into this whole other view. And we're looking at all these things that we have just come to accept, these systems that we have come to accept. And we're seeing, this doesn't feel right anymore. This doesn't seem right anymore. This doesn't align with my values anymore. And part of the Aquarian energy is about, how do we build things that actually work for everybody? How do we create a society that is built on helping each other, bringing people together, looking for new and innovative ways to bring and a new approach to how we handle things? This era is really about community. It is about finding your tribe, your like-minded people, coming together to really, truly support each other and raise each other up and return to what we are designed to do, which is about living together in harmony, with rhythmically with the seasons, with Mother Nature, and really starting to release from the control of these structures that we have in place, these systems that we have thought are normal because we've been so indoctrinated into this. There's been a slow indoctrination into all of this, and we think it's all normal when it's really not. It goes so far against the grain. It goes so far against our systems. And if you didn't catch the last episode, the last podcast, one thing I have been really called to do is how can I be of greater service? How can I be someone who can bring people together, to provide a space for us to gather, to support each other, to help each other navigate through this journey and through these massive shifts that are happening. Because through these massive shifts, it's going to cause more chaos before the calm comes in, right? We are going through these shifts because we ourselves are being shaken up. We are being exposed ourselves. Our shadows are being exposed. The things that we've accepted are being exposed to us right now. And we need to have other people who can help us walk this path, who can walk alongside us on this path. And, this is the big call for me, is how can I help support that in a way that brings people together? And that's the whole Aquarian age. My whole purpose in life is actually in Aquarius. That's my whole mission in life is this Aquarian energy. And I have Mercury in that house, in that Aquarian energy, which is about talking about these things. It's about coming up with ideas around these things. So this is the thing that I have really been catapulted into doing. And I've created a free community off my website called Lagom. And Lagom is a Swedish word, and I'm sorry to all my relatives because I know I'm butchering it. I don't say it as eloquently as they do, but Lagom in Swedish is a Swedish word, and it means not too much and not too little. It's just about finding that balance in our life. It's about just having enough. And that's what we're all searching for. We're searching for that sweet spot. It's like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, where she goes in and the bed's too hard and then the bed's too soft, and then the bed's just right. Or the porridge is too hot, the porridge is too cold, and then it's just right. It's finding that just right for you. And this was all about how do we come together and we try and find that balance within ourselves, that just right, that just enough peace in ourselves. So this is just getting started. It's just percolating. But if you're called to join us, I am giving some more inside energy updates there. I've got some challenges going on that are tied to the seasons, so you can really think about how you move with the seasons, how you adjust with the seasons, how you think deeper about yourself and what you need to bring in or what you need to release. And then I am planning on doing these circles. And the first one's going to take place on May 23rd, which is all around the Sagittarius full moon. So it's the Sagittarius full moon circle. That's the first event I'm going to hold. And we're just going to come together. We're going to talk about the astrology. We're going to go through some exercises for your personal growth and journey, talk about what we need to release for this full moon, and then wrap up with some integration and guided meditations. So if you're interested, it'll take place on May 23rd, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, through the Lagom community. So head over to my website, stinamyers.com, and you can find it on the homepage and go from there. But yes, this is what it's all about. It is about this Aquarian energy. It's about this community. It's about coming together. It's about supporting each other. And that's really kind of the mindset of where we're at. And as this energy is coming into our planet, as the sun is helping to activate us, and as we start to think about the shifts that we're all going through, we're really looking at where do we have imbalances in our lives? Where are we tethered into things, to systems, to ideas, to belief patterns, to all of these things that just don't feel in alignment anymore? And this has been a huge process that I've been going through myself, which is looking at what feels out of alignment. What doesn't feel good anymore? What doesn't seem right to me anymore? And it's not that it isn't right, it's just not right for me anymore. And this has been coming up big time. And I think a lot of this comes back down to the era. This is my re-era, R-E era, my re-era. Um, looking at redoing, rebalancing, uh, reworking, redoing, all the re's, right? We are really looking at all of these different components. At least I am. And I'm curious to know, are you also looking at these different components? Are you also feeling this overall just uncomfortableness with the things that you've always accepted? Are you feeling that uncomfortableness with the systems that we have just always come to rely upon and accept? And what are you redoing in your own life? What are you re-looking at? What are the things that you've been doing for years that you've been tolerating that you really haven't enjoyed, but you've just tolerated because you think that's what you're supposed to do? That's the path you have to go down because everybody else goes down the same path. And this whole shakeup this last few weeks has been, I think, relooking at, this just isn't tolerable anymore. I don't want to tolerate this stuff anymore. I don't want to tolerate having to do these things. And where can I find the most freedom in my life? So what are the things that I need to untether from? And this is a really good exercise, just putting a list together for yourself, taking a piece of paper and say, what are the things that I am doing right now? Where am I putting my energy? And what feels great? What are the things that feel amazing? So put a bucket of the things that feel amazing to you and put a bucket of the things that don't feel good anymore to you. And see where you are tethered into things, where you're accepting things, where you're tolerating things that no longer feel good for you. I think this is a really important exercise that we all sit down and really be honest with ourselves, because there is this indoctrination that we've gone through. There is this tolerance that we've just accepted things. And I've been laughing because I'm a Gen Xer, and there's been this hilarious video that's been going viral all over TikTok of this very young, probably early 20s person criticizing Gen X. And there's been a series of videos of millennials going, please do not wake Gen X up. Please do not poke the bear. Do not do it. And now the Gen Xers are coming out in full force. And they're like, oh, you woke us up now. Now we're awake. And I think there is this awakening that's truly happening, not, across the board. But I do think that this is a huge wake up call for the Gen Xers too, because we've just tolerated this stuff, right? We've come to accept it. We're the latchkey generation. We're the ones who were up and pushed out of the house early in the morning to late at night, drank out of the water hose, all the stereotypical stuff, right? But there's something about this, that being raised by the greatest generation, being raised by baby boomers, there wasn't much, sympathy and tolerance for our generation. It was get out there and just suck it up, buttercup, and do the work. And that has always been my kind of look at life, is just, we just get it done. We don't complain. We show up, we do the work. We know we aren't going to get praise or accolades or anything for it. We're just there to do our stuff. But at some point, I think we're all just so burned out. And when I talk to my friends who are the same age, we've hit that intolerance wall. And I think that this whole energy that's coming in is the awakening piece for so many of us. And also from a spiritual level, it's really been those of us who've come in through the baby boomers, through the Gen Xers, who have come in to do the hard work, that have really put in the hard work. And it's no offense to anybody else, because if you're listening to this, I'm sure you are putting in the hard work. But there is just a different mindset, a different level of mindset around this. And I was listening to this really amazing series. If you want to really dive into some interesting channeling on the history of the earth, I will try and link this here. But one of the gals who does the channeling, is her account is Lady of the Forest 444, I believe. But the series is called The History of Earth Explained by a Light Being, and it's on YouTube. Anyway, it's fascinating to go through because they are channeling um, the energy of Pele, and they're talking about the whole inception of the earth, about how the earth was seeded, all of these things. One of the funny things, I think it came from this series, is I've listened to a lot of information, so I'm trying to remember all the information. But on this series, it was that it was the Gen Xers, it was the baby boomers and the Gen Xers who came in and really stabilized the path and did the hard work to put these things in place so that we could move into this new direction, so we can make sure the earth was stable enough to be able to withstand these higher frequencies, these love frequencies, these hope frequencies that are starting to pour in right now. And so we can do this radical change that's happening on the earth. And I was laughing about this because this is such a true characterization in most ways of baby boomers and Gen Xers, is that we are kind of the workhorse force that has come in and really made this happen. And when you think about your mission, when you think about the things that you are tackling right now, whether it's cleaning up your ancestral trauma, it's working through your own past life stuff, it's working through the traumas in this lifetime, you guys are on the cleanup mission. You guys are here because you are doing the cleanup. That is why you came in. You were here to come in to do the hard work and to do the cleanup work. And this is why this redoing energy is so important right now, because we're here doing the redo. We're redoing everything. Literally, we're redoing everything. And so our intolerance for these systems that we've just kind of gone through the paces, at least for me, I'm going to talk for myself. I'm at my limit. I'm at my limit with these systems. Between the medical system, which, if you listen to the podcast, I just went through this whole medical thing. The whole thing is a scam. I'm just going to go out and say it. It's just an entire scam. Our medical system in the United States is the worst. It is a scam. I am so grateful to our medical professionals. They work their asses off. They are kind, compassionate people. But the entire thing with the insurance companies and the billing system from it's a mess. It's a mess. And if you've got insurance and you're paying for it yourself, how expensive it is. You know how ridiculous it is. I'll just give you an example. I had 2 ER visits and a half night in the hospital. The hospital charged my insurance company $68,000 for this. The insurance company said, nope, we're not paying it. We're denying it. Sent it back to the hospital. The hospital then came back and said, okay, it's now $12,500. They're still going back and forth. I'm still getting letters in the mail. The insurance company is still asking for more documentation and stuff. And I got an itemized thing in the mail the other day, and I literally was charged $500 for an IV one ER visit. The next ER visit, I was charged $35 for an IV. I mean, this is just insane. Absolutely insane that this is what we have to deal with. That we are literally a bankruptcy away, like one severe illness. We're just one bankruptcy away from this. If we get like any sort of terminal anything. And then I'm going through this whole system with the education system for my kiddo. And it is infuriating. infuriating. So you look at the systems and you look at like these really big systems, right? And you think about all these things that are happening and you're awakening to the stuff. You're seeing it, you're awakening to it, right? And you're seeing it for what it is. And it's just at a point where I don't know. It just can't continue anymore the way it's been continuing, the way we've tolerated it. And this is what this energy is. It's coming in and it's poking at us, it's prodding at us. And I would say in many cases, it's forcing us to get irritated enough to wake up. And so when I'm seeing these videos about the Gen Xers waking up and you're poking the bear and all this stuff, I feel this. I feel this collectively, that this is exactly the energy that we're all kind of dealing with right now, is this energy of you've poked the bear. You've woken the bear up from hibernation. We were just fine. If you just left us alone, we were just fine. But now you've poked the bear and we have awoken and we are pissed off. And I keep always looking at this from the higher perspective. I'm always zooming out to look at it from the higher perspective, right? What can we do as a group? What can we do to come together as a group? And what can we do to force change? And so as we move into this Aquarian era, as we're getting more light on this planet, as more people are waking up, because they are waking up. You poke the bear, they have awoken. We've got to come together. And we're starting to see this happening. Obviously, all the protests that have been happening on college campuses, this is one kind of example of how people are coming together and focusing on something to try and get change to happen, right? At a lot of different levels. Aquarius is about that. They're here to shake it up. They're here to organize. They're here to protest. And this energy is only going to ramp up more and more and more and more and more. The key in all of this is to stay at the highest vibration, at love. And I know I sound irritated because I have been a little bit irritable because I haven't been sleeping and I've got headaches and I've got some energy upgrades going on. So I am a little bit irritated and ramped up right now, more than usual. But I'm still staying in my heart. I'm still doing my grounding every day. I'm still doing my energetic practices every day. And I'm still going to like the gym and I'm taking care of my physical body and I'm eating well. I'm doing all those things. Okay. I'm still doing my daily practice, even though I'm a little more ramped up than I normally am. And that's important because we've got to stay still sane and grounded. And if we're approaching this from the higher perspective, if we're approaching this from our hearts and from love, we're going to be much more productive and way more able to shift things to a higher perspective, to a new way of doing things as we're coming together and we're thinking about how can we shift the systems, right? If we're coming at it from a place of hate, if we're coming at it from a place of trying to get revenge or go after people, then it's not going to accomplish the goals that we want to accomplish. So I challenge you, as you're going through your own personal shift right now, as the light is increasing on this planet right now, as we are getting more energies coming in to support us, I challenge you to go through for yourself and look at that list, put a list together. What are the things that you are tolerating and what are the things that feel good to you, right? That still feel good to you. And then what are the things that no longer feel in alignment for you? And I challenge you to go through that and see how many of those things that don't feel good that you can untether from, that you can start to unwind from, because those are the signs that are really telling you the things that are no longer in alignment for you, that feel out of balance for you. And those are the things that you can identify to say, I don't need to do this anymore. I don't need to do this. I react this way anymore. I don't need to be part of this anymore. I don't need to do this anymore. Whatever it is, start looking at those things, because I think the invitation that we're getting from these higher energies, from these astrological shifts that are occurring, is really pushing us to think about what are the things that we can let go of. What do we no longer need in our lives? What doesn't make sense anymore? And that's really the big question I think that we are all going through right now. So take a look at these energetic shifts. Be mindful. They're subtle in some cases. I don't think they've been that so subtle this past week, though. I really don't. But really lean into those energies. If you really sit and think about it, you are shifting. You're shifting in such a big way. But it's important to stay neutral, grounded, balanced, all of those things. It's very important to stay in as much of a state of that as possible. And as I talked about on the last podcast, there's those 6 core things that I said we got to tackle ourselves. First and foremost, we got to tackle ourselves. One of the big things I talked about was the nervous system, our own nervous system, and our unconscious belief patterns. Those are really 2 core things that we've all got to tackle, because if we are reacting or projecting out of our unconscious belief patterns, if we are not in a cool, calm, and collected place, like if we're not doing our daily practices and staying centered and grounded, and we're coming from this fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode because of trauma that we've had, that's not a good place to be in. We want to be in a place where we are truly in those grounded and centered places. And I think I mentioned I've launched some new classes recently. So if you're interested in having those tools in the toolbox, I've got those available on demand, courses available now as well on my website. So anyway, I am wishing you all a very, 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 very good rest of your week. I will tell you that we have more of these solar activities heading our way as the sun is continuing to turn. We've got a lot of active regions now starting to face Earth, and so those are also producing some solar flares and CMEs. And then this really active region that has been the one that caused so much havoc last weekend, that's going to come back around in a couple weeks. And so I would expect at that point in time that we're going to have continued activity happening there. So we're not out of the woods. Resting, sleeping, drinking plenty of clean water, grounding, getting out in nature as much as you can, and just taking care of yourselves is the most important thing. And the other thing too is that next week we are moving into the Gemini mansion as a collective, which means we are moving from very grounded, steady, stable Taurus energy, earth energy, into fast moving air energy, very fast, very chaotic air energy. So I would expect collectively that you're going to feel this pretty big shift next week, especially as we're moving into that full moon in Sagittarius, because we will be in the Gemini mansion by then. And you're going to feel this uptick in activity. And we're going to have a lot more astrological pieces coming into the equation too, where we're going to see and feel that uptick of energy happening. So very important to stay grounded and centered, and make sure that you are checking in with yourself multiple times a day, just being able to get still for a little bit, because that energy of Gemini is going to make our communications and our thoughts activated even more, downloads activated even more, and that air is so transmutable. So if you put air and fire, which Sagittarius is a fire sign, Gemini is an air sign, put that stuff together, we are really starting to take off. And you know what air does to fire? It stokes it. It creates it to get bigger and to move faster too. So yeah, we're moving from water and earth into air and fire. Totally different elements, totally different feelings, totally different energy. And again, it's important to have those practices, have those tools in your toolbox, because we are off to the races for sure. So take care of yourselves, and yeah, sending you all the love in the world. Thank you for tuning into this episode. If it resonated with you, please comment, rate, or review, and share with your friends and family. To work with me, please visit my website for on-demand classes, one-on-one astrology readings, and group gatherings through my free community at stinamyers.com. And follow me on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at The Stina Life. Take care, and I'll see you next time.